When my daughter got married, I kept quiet about the $33 million I inherited from my late husband. The wedding was a sun-drenched spectacle in Napa. White tents, string quartet, 300 guests, who'd never met Daniel but toasted his memory anyway. Emily glowed in vintage lace. Richard's smile flashed like a patent leather shoe. I stood beside her in navy silk, clutching a single glass of champagne I never drank. When the minister asked if anyone objected, the vineyard held its breath. I smiled, said nothing, and signed the guest book with a flourish. Daniel had died suddenly. Aneurysm in the shower, gone before the water cooled. The will reading came 3 weeks later in a midtown law office that smelled of lemon, polish and old money. $33 million in a blind trust, administered by a firm in Wilmington. The lawyer slid the folder across the table. Mrs. Whitmore, your late husband was conservative with disclosure. Translation. Daniel had hidden it from everyone, including me. I signed the non-disclosure agreement, tucked the pen behind my ear, and went home to plan a wedding. Richard proposed to Emily 6 months after the funeral. He was charming. Harvard MBA, startup darling. The kind of man who quoted Rumi at brunch. He kissed my cheek and called me Mom before the ring was resized. I smiled, said nothing, and paid for the open bar. The morning after the wedding, I woke to silence in the Sonoma Inn. Emily and Richard had left for their honeymoon. 2 weeks in Bora Bora, paid from the joint account I'd seeded with $250,000 as a starter gift. My phone buzzed at 9:03 a.m. Mom? Richard forgot the notary paperwork for the prenup addendum. Can you FedEx the trust docs? Love you. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. There was no prenup addendum. There was no trust she knew about. I typed sure, honey, and hit send. At 11:17 a.m., a black Escalade pulled into the gravel lot. Richard stepped out in linen and loafers, notary in tow, a nervous man clutching a leather folio. They knocked on my suite door. Claire, Richard said, smile dialed to 11. Small hiccup. Emily's trust, your late husband's estate, needs a quick signature to fold into our family LLC. Tax efficiency. Won't take 5 minutes. The notary opened the folio. Inside, a power of attorney granting Richard irrevocable control over all marital assets, known and undisclosed. My name was pre-filled. The amount, £33,000 cows. I took the pen. The notary hovered. Richard's eyes flicked to my left hand. Daniel's wedding band, still there. Actually, I said, voice soft, I need to freshen up. Give me 10. I locked the bathroom door, opened the safe, and removed the burner phone. I'd bought the day Daniel's will was read. I texted a single number, code red, execute protocol D. Then I flushed the toilet, washed my hands, and opened the door. Richard's smile hadn't moved. Ready? I handed him the folio, unsigned. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. The trust doesn't exist. His grin faltered. Emily said, Emily doesn't know. I stepped aside. Gentlemen, I believe you're in the wrong suite. The notary scurried. Richard lingered, smile now a snarl. This isn't over, Claire. I closed the door. Through the peephole, I watched him punch the wall hard enough to split a knuckle. At 11:42 a.m., my real phone buzzed. A transfer confirmation, $33,000 moved to irrevocable subtrust, beneficiary, E. Whitmore, contingent on sobriety and independence milestones. The administrator, Daniel's college roommate, now a judge in Delaware, added a note, safe, untraceable, love, D. I poured coffee with steady hands. Outside, the vineyard shimmered in heat. Inside, the silence was no longer empty. Richard thought he'd married money. He'd married a ghost who'd planned for this exact moment. The honeymoon was over. The real marriage had just begun. Richard and Emily returned from Bora Bora tanned, laughing and $180,000 poorer, my silent surcharge on every overwater villa charge. I greeted them at SFO with a smile and a chilled bottle of Veuve. Emily hugged me like nothing had happened. Richard's eyes searched my face for cracks. He found none. That night, in their new Pacific Heights flat, my wedding gift title in Emily's name. Only, Richard opened the notary's revised packet. This time, a marital asset consolidation agreement. The language was silk over steel. I skimmed it in their kitchen while Emily unpacked bikinis. Mom, It's just housekeeping, she said. Richard's lawyer says it protects us both. Richard poured wine. Claire, after Daniel, we want to be sure you're taken care of. Family unity. I signed nothing. Instead, I left a manila envelope on the counter. Inside, a single sheet, my handwriting. 33,000 beneficiary. Emily Whitmore, age 35, or upon dissolution of marriage, whichever first. Trustee, Honoris Malcolm Reed, Delaware Chancery. Condition, no commingling. No spousal access. Richard read it twice. His jaw flexed. Claire, he said, voice low, this is adversarial. No, I replied. It's maternal. Emily frowned. Mom, why the secrecy? I touched her cheek. Because your father taught me that love is blind, but money sees everything. The next morning, Richard's lawyer, a shark in Tom Ford, requested a meeting. I chose the venue, the Trust's law firm in Wilmington, 3,000 miles away. Richard flew coach. I took the Gulf Stream Daniel had never told me about. In a conference room overlooking the Brandywine, Malcolm Reed laid out the Trust's teeth. Annual disbursements to Emily, $750,000, indexed to inflation. Richard, 0, unless Emily petitions and I approve in writing. Clawback clause. Any attempt to pierce the trust triggers immediate freeze and transfer to a donor-advised fund in Emily's name only. Richard's lawyer sputtered. Malcolm slid a second document across the table. A cease and desist, already filed in Sine Francisco Superior Court, barring Richard from any direct or indirect inquiry into Claire Whitmore's financial affairs. Richard stood so fast his chair rolled into the wall. This is theft. Malcolm didn't blink. It's estate planning. Daniel signed it the week before he died. You're welcome to challenge in court. Discovery takes 18 months. Good luck with alimony in the meantime. On the flight home, Richard texted Emily from the middle seat. Your mother's insane. We need to talk. Emily showed me the message in the car from the airport. Her hands shook. Mom, is this real? 33 million? I nodded. Your father's insurance policy against charm. She started to cry. Richard says you're trying to control me. No, sweetheart. I'm trying to free you. That night, I moved into the St. Francis suite I'd booked under a Shell LC. My phone buzzed at 2:14 a.m. Unknown number. You'll regret this. I saved the message, then forwarded it to Malcolm with a single instruction. Escalate. By dawn, Richard's startup, seed round led by his college buddy's VC firm, received an anonymous tip. The SEC opened a quiet inquiry into irregular option grants. His Amex Black was declined at Pete's Coffee. Phase 2 had begun. I poured coffee on the balcony, watching fog crawl over the bay. Daniel's voice in my head, soft as ever. Trust no one who loves your money more than you. I smiled into the mist. The notary was just the opening act. The main event was scheduled for Emily's first prenatal appointment, 3 weeks from Tuesday. Richard didn't know she was pregnant. He didn't know I'd already paid the clinic in cash. Some secrets keep families together. Others tear them apart at the seams. The clinic sat in a beige medical plaza off Van Ness, the kind of place that smelled of alcohol wipes and forced cheer. I arrived early, paid the receptionist in crisp hundreds, and took the corner chair with a clear view of the door. Emily texted at 9:47 a.m. Running late. Richard's in meetings. See you inside. He wasn't in meetings. He was at the Fairmont, pacing the gold suite, on the phone with a forensic accountant, who'd just traced the trust to a Delaware entity with no public officers. Richard's voice, caught on the nanny cam I'd installed in the flat, cracked like cheap plaster. Find the money, or we're broke in 6 months. Emily walked in at 10:03, alone, cheeks flushed from the hill. She wore the same navy coat from the wedding, now tight across the middle. I stood. She hugged me hard enough to crack a rib. Mom, I'm scared, she whispered. He's different since Napa. I guided her to the sonographer's room. The tech, a kind-eyed woman named Luz, squeezed gel and rolled the wand. The screen flickered then, thump, 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 a lima bean heartbeat. Emily's hand found mine. It's real. Richard burst through the door at 10:17, tie askew, notary in tow again. Same nervous man, new folio. Emily needs to sign this, he panted. Marital asset disclosure for the baby's college fund. Luz froze. I stood, blocking the bed. Out, I said. Richard's eyes flicked to the screen. The heartbeat pulsed, indifferent. Something shifted in his face, greed, then panic. Emily sat up, gel smearing her gown. Richard, what is this? Protection, he snapped. Your mother's hiding millions. We deserve transparency. I pulled the printed trust summary from my purse, Malcolm's latest amendment, dated yesterday. I handed it to Luz. Please witness, Luz read aloud, clinical and calm. Upon confirmation of pregnancy, $5,000 irrevocable subtrust vests immediately to the minor child. Administrator, Claire Whitmore. Spousal access, none. Richard lunged for the paper. I stepped between him and the bed. Touch her, I said, and security drags you out in cuffs. The notary backed into the hallway. Luz pressed the call button. 2 guards appeared within seconds. Emily's voice was small but steel. Leave, Richard. He hesitated, then fled. The notary skirped after him like a kicked dog. Luz printed the ultrasound photo. Emily clutched it to her chest. Mom, she said, I want to come home. I kissed her forehead. You never left. That afternoon, I filed for a temporary restraining order. Malcolm served it at Richard's office, 3:42 p.m., in front of his entire team. By 4:15, Han Pacificate's predator trended locally. A junior associate leaked the nanny cam audio to a gossip blog. Richard's startup board voted no confidence by 5-0. At 6:12 p.m., Emily's key turned in my Pacific Heights flat, now hers alone. She dropped her duffel, sank onto the window seat, and stared at the bay. I believed him, she said, about everything. I poured 2 glasses of sparkling water. Daniel believed in second chances, not third. She touched her stomach. This one gets a clean slate. My phone buzzed. Malcolm. Richard's account's frozen. Sec raid tomorrow. You're clear. I showed Emily the message. She didn't flinch. Outside, fog swallowed the bridge lights. Inside, the heartbeat photo sat on the mantel, next to Daniel's urn. Some inheritances aren't money. They're the moment a daughter chooses truth over charm. The raid hit at 6:03 a.m. SEC, FBI, 2 U.S. Marshals, and a very awake K-9 unit. Richard opened his loft door in monogrammed pajamas. The dog sniffed the notary's briefcase and sat. Inside, burner phones, forged signature samples, and a flash drive labeled CW Leverage. By 7:15, he was in cuffs on the sidewalk, barefoot, live-streamed by every Bay Area morning show. Emily watched from my kitchen, ultrasound photo propped against the coffee machine. She didn't cry. She made pancakes. Malcolm called at 8:42. Plea offer, 5 years, full restitution of $2.8 million he actually touched. Your call. I looked at Emily. She flipped a pancake, shrugged. Let the system chew him. I'm busy growing a person. We declined the plea. Trial date, 14 months out. Richard's assets, Tesla, watches, the condo in Tahoe, hit the auction block by noon. The proceeds seeded the baby's subtrust. Current balance $5,000 and climbing. Emily moved into Daniel's old study, now a nursery in soft greys. I hired a night doula and a trusts and estates tutor. Every Tuesday, we walked the Presidio. She asked questions about compound interest. I answered in baseball analogies. She laughed the first time she beat me at Scrabble using only finance words. Richard's mother, a Marin County realtor with a voice like a closing door, showed up, once waving a manila envelope of her own. Emily met her on the stoop. Sign this and we'll drop the character assassination, the woman hissed. Grandparent rights. Emily handed her the ultrasound. You can visit when you learn the difference between love and leverage. The door shut. The envelope went straight into the recycling. Spring arrived early. The trust disbursed Emily's first $750,000 on her 28th birthday. She bought 2 things, a modest Victorian in Noe Valley, title in the baby's name, and a one-way ticket to Paris for me. Go drink wine where Dad proposed. Bring back stories. I went. I drank. I left Daniel's wedding band in a fountain at Luxembourg Gardens and felt the last weight slide from my finger. Richard took the plea after all. 3 years, medium security, white-collar camp in Lompoc. On visiting day, Emily sent a postcard, a sonogram and the words, "He has your nose." You'll never see it. The baby arrived on a Tuesday in October. 8 pounds, 2 ounces, a tuft of dark hair, lungs, like a foghorn. We named him Daniel Clare Whitmore. His trust statement, delivered by Malcolm in a silver envelope, read, opening balance, 38 in of 400,000 thalers, market gains plus auction proceeds. I held him while Emily slept. His tiny fist closed around my pinky with surprising strength. Outside, San Francisco fog rolled in, soft as forgiveness. Inside, the nursery mobile turned, little airplanes Daniel had carved from balsa decades ago. Some fortunes are built on silence. Others are born the moment a mother refuses to sign her life away. I kissed the baby's forehead. He smelled like powder and possibility. The notary never came back.